view what a person is saying or doing. They're not always using truth. In fact, some people argue that there is no truth. People are not looking at you with the eyes of mercy all the time. They're not looking at you with the eyes of love, compassion, enduring devotion. They're not looking at you all the time, mind you, with those attributes. But God is looking at you, hearing you, with all of those qualities still operating all the time throughout eternity, 100% of the time, because He is 100% justice, mercy, love, truth. Holiness, or holy. So this means that in all of His laws, in all of His statutes, in all of His expectation, God is bringing to the situation all of those characteristics that we've been talking about. Not in part, not at some time and not another time, but always. Imagine that kind of love, of care, of devotion, that at all times God is looking at you, is viewing you in the eyes of true mercy, true love, true justice, truth. And treating you equally. And oftentimes He's treating us not as our behavior deserves, because again, He is using mercy. At the same time that He's passing judgment, He's using mercy. At the same time that He's speaking to us about His laws, He's using mercy. He's using love. He's using justice. He's using His holiness. That sense of right standing, that sense of compassion, that sense of truth, that sense of devotion, that sense of understanding. In all of His holiness, it is beyond the human concept of what is ethical, what is right, what is good, what is proper. When we spoke in earlier episodes about the limitations of man's thinking, our minds just cannot think as high and as advanced as God's thinking. So I know that it's difficult to try to embrace the idea that God can apply all of His attributes all at one time, all the time. And in everything He does, God is consistent. As we spoke of yesterday, He is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. God's sense of love, truth, mercy, holiness, justice is not going to change because today is June 27th. In 5 weeks from now, God's sense of justice, mercy, holiness, truth, love will be the same as it is in this moment. And in every action that He takes, He is applying all of those attributes all of the time. And so then it is really easy to see if we equate God to ourselves or to our experiences with other humans, then clearly it's understandable that we would question, how is it that God can be this way all of the time? We don't see this in humans. We don't see this in our day-to-day relationships, our day-to-day interactions. In fact, we know even in our own selves, our own minds, our own actions, we know that it is difficult for us to carry out being loving, ethical, just, truthful, all the time, 100% of the time. So I understand how it is easy to question, is this possible? But we have to get beyond, we have to try to appreciate that God is God. He is supernatural, as people talk about. He is from the entirety of time and throughout the span of the universe. He is not enclosed in a earthly body. He does not have the bounds of time and space that we have. He does not rely on other humans to validate him or to show appreciation for him. You can. He would like you to. But if you don't, that's okay too. You know, we can understand God's sense of moral, ethical truth, his holiness, in the very fact that we know, and people often will remind you, that they have the right to do whatever they want to do. Well, where did they get that right? They got that right from God. Do you think it not possible that if God wanted to restrain you from doing something, he couldn't? If an activity that you were engaged in was going beyond something that he wanted to carry out, he could stop you. We know that there are many instances in the Bible, and we in fact know, if we are truthful with ourselves, that there have been times that God has indeed stopped you in your tracks. You know, sometimes when you want to say that inappropriate thing, you've bitten your tongue. I mean, actually bit your tongue. And it hurt. And you stopped talking. Right? Some people know that they were heading out to work, and then they go out and they find that they have a flat tire. Or maybe they were going out to do something that was not associated with work, not associated with good behavior or right thinking, and they found that flat tire. Well, you were just stopped. Maybe you were on your way to go, there are some people that are on their way to go do some nefarious, inappropriate behaviors, and get behind a red light or heavy traffic, or that's the day when the train is going on the tracks and has the road cut off. Or that's when you get to the store that you were gonna just continue to drink all night or whatever, and you decided to go to the store to pick up the some more alcohol or whatever you were engaging in, and the store was closed on a day that they normally would be open, at a time that they would normally open. Somehow or another, the store was closed. Or I'm sure you've had the experience where you were determined to buy a certain thing or do a certain thing, spend money on some things that perhaps you shouldn't have or would be inappropriate, not to your best advantage, and every ATM you went to was closed down. No, I know that I'm not the only person that has had some of these experiences. And there are a lot of people that think, that's just coincidence. Not once you've gone to the fifth ATM. That's not coincidence. Not when you have you're on your way to do that dastardly deed that you were on your way to do, and you get stuck at the railroad tracks for 30, 40, 50 minutes. Certainly time enough for you to think about what you were about to do. Take case in point, this experience that we're all having with this virus, COVID-19. And I spoke of in my Twitter feed that, is it possible that during this time where we are forced to slow down, we're forced to stop, we're forced to pause our usual daily activities, could it be that this is an opportunity for us to rethink what we have been focusing on? There are a couple of people throughout history that has made the comment that, during a time of a disaster or a disastrous type situation, that there's always an opportunity in that. How many people have been able to reassess their lives, have determined that maybe they didn't really need to make money in a certain pursuit, but that they could be a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home mom. Maybe they could really learn to budget so that both parents did not have to work. Maybe we have found during this time that there are certain activities we thought that just were simply mandatory, absolutely had to happen, but that we could actually find ways to do without those things. Maybe this time of pause from all these other activities has given you an opportunity to rethink your relationship with God, whether you should have one or not. Or maybe that the time that you were spending on so many other sometimes wasteful and inappropriate things could be better spent by reading your Bible or praying. I personally know of many people that I have spoken with that have simply said they have not prayed more in their lives than during this pandemic. They've not prayed more in their lives than during this now time of unrest that we are seeing with regards to social injustice, or even the injustice that's found in law enforcement. So I do know that God is capable of stopping us from doing something, maybe even saying something that we shouldn't be saying. But oftentimes he still allows you your free will to do, say, and act in ways that are contrary to his desire. Well, he's not just